Hi everybody, Debbie here from Craftywafty, and today I'm going to show you how I made the Christmas Advent present box. Now this is was in collaboration with the lovely Paul Ford. Basically I asked him if I could take his little boxes and make something with them. And that's what I did, and I made this little Christmas Advent present box. So I'm going to show you the box first, and then we'll talk about everything else. So here we've got a lovely little lid that opens up, and inside, as you can see, there's loads of lovely little boxes. And to get to the boxes, we've got these little pulls. Whoops. Gave the secret away, didn't it? It's got these little pulls on the side, so you can pull the boxes down like so. Okay, and then these are attached by Velcro. Okay, so you can actually take them off and then you can open them up, and oh, look what's inside. Lovely little chocolate. So I took Paul's little boxes and I wanted to do something a little bit different with them, and basically that's what I've done. So I'm going to show you how I made this. I'm just going to tuck these back in. There we go. I'm just going to pop the lid on. Now if you want the instructions for the cutting and scoring instructions on how to make it, these are going to be on our website, which is craftywafty.co.uk, and they're downloadable, so it's a PDF. Okay, and if you just put in downloads, it will come up with the instructions, and you can just download it and print it off yourself. So we've got given a little bit of spiel about it, and then here I give you an idea of the resources and everything else. There is a couple of video links on there as well, so that you can click on to Paul's video link on how to make the little boxes, as well as the video for this, well, this video, the link for this video will be up on there as well. And then on the back you've got all the lovely cutting and scoring instructions, and then I give you a little note here to watch Paul's video on other scoring instructions. Okay, I also give you, so I call these the basic Advent boxes, and this one I call the main box, base and lid, and that's where all the cutting instructions etc. I also put the sizes on as well for the patterned paper, so you've got everything there, and the black card that we've used as well. So let's move this to one side. Okay, and we're going to get all our bits and pieces. Now I've already pre-cut these, so I just want to explain what I've done here. Okay, let's just pop that out of the way. So this is the lid. Now because I will be using some lovely construction tape or tiger tape, which you can actually get from Cool Cats Crafts. Okay, a lot of this will be wrapped round in this, but whenever I use the tape, I always just black out the corners and the sides and that, because sometimes when you're cutting your corners or mitering your corners with the tape, if you don't quite get it right, then you might see a little bit of the construction board poking through. So I've just gone through and I've done all of those. So they're all done, and I've done the lid as well. I mean, I'm hoping I don't, but it's just a little precaution, just one of my little tips for you. And for the base of the box, so I've done the same with the base. I've just gone round and done that. And the little supports, I call these like the side support frame. So I've just done the both ends of those with that. But on the two flap sides, so we've got our fixed flap sides and our side flaps, and what I've actually done is with these is I've literally just gone round in black Sharpie pen all the way round the edge like that, because when we come to put the box together, we want to make sure that those butt up nicely. And I'll be honest, I did try with the construction tape going around and covering it, but then it just pushed it out by a smidgen when we came to put the box together. So I've just gone round and I've used my Sharpie pen to sort of colour both sides and the edges, so that when you look at the box, it's still got that black trim. And the Sharpie that I've used is this one, which is a chisel tip. Oh, get the lid off. It's got a nice wide tip to it, which just makes it really easy just to sort of, like, just show you there. So you can literally just run it round and that works perfectly fine. Okay, so I think what we'll do first is, well, let's get our base, and I've got my fixed supports. Let me just move some of these bits out of the way. So these are the fixed ones. So the fixed ones are slightly smaller than the flaps that come down. And what will happen is that these will be fitted onto our base like so. So I'm just going to put these up against it just so that we can see what it looks like, because we're trying to do it so it's all opposite each other on the sides, like so. Okay, so it almost makes like a pinwheel shape. Okay, and then the flat sides will come down and they will sit, and that will butt up against that side like so. So this is what we're going to be aiming for. This is what we're going to be putting together. Now the only join that we're going to need on here at the moment is is the join between the two sides onto the base for each piece. Now, as this is a fixed one, and that is the one that's got the flap that's going to go up and down, you can do this one of two ways. You can tape up that one first, or you can put the tape right across the four sides, and then we'll just use a nice sharp craft knife just to cut between the two. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've got my lovely construction tape. Now, if you haven't got any of this tape, you could use some lovely Christmas washi tape, something like that would work. So I'm just going to tear that off. Right, so I'm just going to make sure that those are flush against the side of that box base, and I'm just going to stick that down on there. Now, I know I've gone over, okay, but I'm not too worried about that for the minute, because I can just come in and trim those off. Okay, and this is why you can see why we've coloured the edges black, because if I don't cut it quite as flat against it, then you haven't got the construction board showing. Okay, so that's one side done. Okay, so we're just going to go round and we're going to do each of these sides. I'm just going to turn that round like so, and do exactly the same as the others. Right, okay, let's just give that a set. There we are. Whoops. Stay still. Okay. Right. Turn that bit off. I'm going to add that on like so. Oh, there we go. So I'm just going to trim off that end there. I'm just going to take that last little bit off like so. Okay, so that's two sides done. Now we're going to turn it round. Let's move those out of the way. That's it, so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so these need to be opposite, like so. Line that up, and we'll do another bit. I mean, I suppose you could measure it and cut it exactly, but it's fine. I'm just going to trim that one off and trim this other one off, like so. And then the final side, which is obviously opposite. So as you can see, I've got the fixed sides coming round all on one side. And then we're just going to pop that on there. Whoops. Let's tuck that in. Okay, and this is the final. Oh, that moved, that's it. Okay, try and keep them nice and square. Right, now obviously because I've got this corner bit here, just coming in, there we go. Right, just going to cut that there. And cut that one like so. All right, so that is the inside. Okay, and as you can see, these are going to come up like that. So now we just need to flip it over and put some tape down on the other side. So it should be a bit easier because now they're all ready. Oh, actually that bit's gone just slightly over there, that's fine. Okay, and I've got a nice straight edge on there, so that will go up against that. And just cut that one, tuck that round on there. Okay. And our final two sides. So let's just bring that over just a fraction more. There we go. So this basically is our base of our box. As you can see, it doesn't take very long to put together. And then we've got the final side. And because we're using this lovely tape, it's going to give us that hinge effect. Okay. Right, so now we're just going to fold those up. That's it. Just allow that to come up. Here we go. It's a little bit on the tight side, but that'll be fine. Okay, there we go. Just allow that tape to move a little bit. What I suggest is that you give yourself just a little bit of a gap at that top when you're sticking these down, just to help these sit. But I want quite a nice tight fit on mine, so I'm just, that's it, give it a little bit of wiggle, because with this construction tape it does allow you to have a little bit of wiggle. Okay, so now where we've got these joins, I'm just going to get my craft knife and I'm just going to slice through the join like so. 3 and 4, and then we're going to flip it over. Oh, come on, flip it over and do it on the other side. That's it. There we go. So that should give us a little bit of rim. Okay, so here we are. So these will now, as you can see, are all flapping all over the place, but that's our basic our basic box. So what we need to do now is make the support frame for our box. Okay, so I'm just going to put that to one side for a minute. Now the support frames, okay, now what we're going to do is that when these get attached, we will at some point need to put magnets on these, because obviously we need the magnets to hold up the flap that comes up and down. All right, now when I did this, now you can do this one of two ways. You can wrap each one individually, or you can do it in a strip. So I'm going to do this in a strip. Okay, I'm just going to rest that there, and I'm just going to tuck each one into the center of my construction board tape. It's a little bit tricky, this, because it does stick to you. Right, okay, so I'm just going to rest that one down in the center, or as near as damn it. There we go. I'm going to give myself a tiny little gap, because I need it to be able to bend round. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a gap, and I'm going to stick that one down. So that's 2. Okay, and here we go. Just going to again give myself a little bit of a gap, fold that down, 1, 2, 3, and then our 4th one. So now I can see where we're at. I'm just going to cut that tape off. There we go. Like so. And that, we'll keep that on there. Right, okay, so what we're doing is we're covering one side of these, and we're obviously joining them all together. So it's a little bit fiddly. Okay, so I'm going to come along and do one edge, like so. Right, I'm not worried about the end bits for the minute. Right, and then I'm going to come up and do the other bit. So I'm just wanting it to cover those edges. Okay, there we go, like that. And it just holds it all together in one lovely strip. Right, so now if I'll just smooth those out a bit so you can see we've got a nice cover like that. So that is going to go on the inside. Okay, and let's just take this tape off. Just going to trim that. Okay, and I'm just going to attach the other end, because what we need to do is we need to mark off where the magnets are going to go. So I'm just going to put that on there for a minute. Oh, that's got an end bit. Let's trim that bit off. Don't worry, we will be covering the outside, but we just need to work out where the magnets are going to go. All right, so we've now created our support frame. Okay, so we've got a nice finish on the inside. Okay, and let's get our lovely little box back. Okay, so when these sides come up, you're going to have this. Now this is where it gets a little bit fiddly, so I use my lovely little black grips, or little bulldog clips, which are perfect for this sort of job. I get these from Amazon. As you can see, I have quite a few. I do find them really useful for anything like this. Right, okay, I'm just going to put one on that side. I'm going to come in and do the opposite. So I'm lining it up with that corner, like so. Right, Okay, and that side, let's put one on there. So we're trying to keep it nice and square. Okay, and now we're going to come up with the other side. And what I'm doing is now is where the corners are coming up and meeting the two corners, I'm trying to get them as close together as I can, just so I get a nice finish to that. Okay, need a few more of these. There we go. Just going to pop that side up. There we are. Right, okay, so I can see that I've got quite a gap here on this side, so I might need to just give that a little bit of a movability. Ideally, what we want is all the gaps to be exactly the same. All right, and now I'm going to put up these last side like so. These are so handy. I love these little love these little clips. Okay, all right, we're just going to tuck that one in, and I'm just going to hold that there like so. Right, so that is how our box is going to sit. So you can see there is a little bit of a gap on the corners, but you're going to expect a little bit of that. Just make sure that frame is tucked in. Okay, now our next part is to mark off where the magnets are. Okay, now I've got some small magnets. Now on the pattern I've put that you need 4 sets. So basically 2 magnets to join together gives you 8. So 4 sets, that's what I call a set, 2 magnets. Okay. Now you can put one set on each side, or if you want it to be a little bit more sturdy, you can go with 2. Okay, and the idea is that you work out where your magnet is going to go. So I want it to go centered to that bar, because this bit is going to be fixed, but I want it to be centered to that bar. All right, and that's where it needs to sit. Okay, so the easiest thing to do is actually attach the magnet onto this bit first, and then we can work out where it is on this side, so we can stick it down. Okay, so I'm just gonna turn that round that way. Is that going to stay up like that? I'm just going to rest it up there so you can see what we're doing. Okay, oh, see these little magnets stick to everything. Okay, so I'm just taking 2 magnets off. All right, I've got a little bit of glue, so I'm just going to put sort of as centered as I can. All right, and then I'm just going to get my magnet. Now I'm going to stick the 2 together just for this, because I just want to mark out where it's going to go. So that sits just nicely in the center. And now if I just put a little dab of glue there, okay, I can bring this lid down, and that is, or this side down, and that is going to work out roughly where that magnet's going to go. So let's just pop that on there. That needs to come over a fraction. Put a little bit too much glue on there, Deb. Right, okay, let's try this again. All right, a little bit of glue, and then I'm just going to tack that down, lift that up. So now I can see where that magnet is going to go. Now looking at here, that is quite close to the edge. So what I might need to do is just move that magnet down just a fraction. Okay, and now if I put that down, right, okay, we can see where that is sitting on there. Right, okay. So I know that that magnet needs to sit closer to the bottom because I want a bit of clearance, because when I come to put the papers on. Yeah, okay, that works. That's fine. All right. So while that magnet is sitting there and that one is sat up there, I'm just going to get a little bit of these little bits of black tape that I had as the cut-offs. Don't waste anything, me. And I'm just going to tack that over that edge. Okay, and I'm just going to do the same on here. It's just to hold it in place until we actually fix it down properly. Okay, all right, so now I've got those taped in. Let's just, right, that holds beautifully now. Okay, and we lift that up and we can see that that holds that. Okay, so what I've learnt is that I need to come down a little bit more onto the support, so it gives me a little bit of clearance, because on this side, when I put the paper and everything on, I want to make sure that that covers that nicely. Okay, so now we've just got to do the same with the others. So again, I'm going to repeat. These. I'm not going to put as much glue on as I did, so let's just turn that round, and I'm just going to add, all right, just get the magnets around the right way, just a little bit of glue. I'm just going to put it down there like so. Okay, because I know I need to come down to the bottom of that just to clear that. All right, that's given me the glue for the other side, so I can take that magnet off now. Oops, come on. It's well and truly stuck to its partner. Right, and split those off. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to pop that magnet down on there, and I'm just going to add a little bit of tape just to hold that in place, and just going to put a tiny little bit of tape on this. This will get rewrapped, so so that's fine, but that will just hold that in place, and we'll give that a little trial. Have I got it in the right way? No, maybe not. Let's turn that around. Which way is that going? Right, it's going that way. Put my magnet round the wrong way. Right. Okay. Somehow managed to get it twisted. There we go. That's better. Right, and then we've just got 2 more sides to do. Okay, and this is probably the most fiddliest bit of the whole thing, is sorting out the magnets. Right, and so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue. Come on, just a little bit of glue on there. Turn that around. That's sort of to the base a little bit. That's sort of centered. Like we did before, just a little dab like that. So I think it depends on the strength of your magnets as to how many magnets you choose to put on, and including obviously the thickness of your construction board and that as well that you're using. Okay, so these are just little things to sort of be mindful of when you're coming to do this. All right, okay, so I'm just going to stick that bit on there like so. Make sure that magnet is the right way round. Looks like I've stuck it the other way round. Come on. Let's move it over a little bit. That's it, I promise I've got it slightly out of sync. There we go. Right. the trouble. These are slippery little things. And you're trying to do something a little bit on the fiddly side. Right, okay, so now we know where we're going. All right. And then just one more side to go, and then we are done. So I'm just putting this bit of tape on there just to, that's it, that holds that in place. Right, 1, 2, 3, there's my 4th side. Okay, so just with one magnet I've been able to hold these sides together. Okay, so let's just join those. A little bit of glue, centered as we can, and just put tagged on there just so I can see where that's going. Okay, that's taking it off of both sides. Come on, that's it, split you. Right, okay. Right, I think that was that way. Oops. Oh, it's stuck to my hand. Did that happen? Get back on there, little magnet. Right, okay. So, just going to get a little bit of tape just to hold that in situ. Right, let's see if that magnet lines up. Right, I've stuck it around the wrong way. That's it. Right, let's add a little bit of glue. There we go. Okay, and now we can stick that final one on. Oops, split my tape there. Right, okay. Oops, get my fingers stuck with all the tape now. It's not magnets, it's a tape. There we go. Right. Okay, so that goes up. That goes up. Right, that's holding those in situ. Perfect. Come on. There you go. Sit you down. Right. Now we've got that bit done, we need to put the cover on the outside. But because of the way that I've done the magnets, I'm now going to mark up the magnets or the sides of the boxes so that I know which side. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I'm just going to take this off. I'm just going to put a 4 on that side. I know I will be covering these up, but it will just help me keep these lined up when I come to put it in. 1, 2, 2, and then the last side is 3. So when I turn these all around, right, let's get rid of all of those out of the way. Okay, so I've got side 3 in front of me here. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap tape all the way around it, but I've got to keep this side facing me. Okay, so I'm just going to get, now it's probably easier to do one side at a time. Okay, so I'm just going to, actually it's probably easier to, that's it, right. Right, so there's my tape. Come on, off my fingers. Oh, goodness me, now it's stuck to that. Right, okay, so I'm just going to put this in the centre of the tape. Push that down. Okay, and now I can wrap that other bit of tape round there. Okay, I can trim off those other bits. like so. Oops. I'm just going to trim this bit off. That's it, so we get a nice corner. And I can go around and trim that down. That's it. Right, okay. So that's my magnet enclosed in there. So that is side 3, which is this side. Okay, now I'm going to turn it round. Side 2, side 2. And we're just going to do this side again. So I'm just trying to keep the sides all together. Right, okay, side 2. And side 2. Okay. Like so. And now I can smooth that out and wrap that round. Now, if you haven't got construction tape, you might need to wrap round black cardstock. Okay. Or you could cut the strips of black cardstock. And how I did these edges here, you could actually do that on them, on these bits. So, or you can completely just cover these in black pen. So if you haven't got the construction tape, I'll just give you some other ideas. Right, okay. So just make sure that is all smooth. All right, so that was side 3, side. That's it, making sure we've got it going up the right side 2, side 3. So let's move this round. So this should be side 1, which it is. Okay. I'll just get my fingers off of that. Right, okay. We're just going to rest that on there. Smooth that out. So at the moment, I've done 3 sides. So I know that the final side is side 4. And I'll be able to, as soon as we're done side 4, we can stick that down on there, and then it will keep everything. So it's easier to cut those beforehand. Right, okay. This goes around those corners, like so. Just come around and do that last bit. Okay, so that is, you can go over this with a burnish tool just to make sure it's all stuck down properly and nice and smooth. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and then we've got our last side, which should be side 4, which it is. Okay, so we're just keeping everything in situ, because when we come to glue these sides on, we want to make sure that we've got it all lined up. Okay, so I'm just going to tuck that one in like that, give that a good smooth out. Here we are. And now I'm just going to trim off those corner bits like so. I'll just trim that bit off as well. Here we are. Right, okay, and that is side 4 done, which sits like that. Right, okay. So what we need to do is we need to attach our fixed sides to the box. So I'm just going to, because I'm going to be moving this about a bit, I'm just going to re-clip the magnets on here. It's fine. So we know that they're lined up. And then we can fix in the other ones. Okay. Side 3. And so all the magnets are all lined up, which is lovely. And now, did I move that one? No, that's all moved in. Right, okay. And now we're going to work with the fixed sides. Okay. So you've got two options with the fixed sides. You can either just glue that to that tape and leave it like that, or if you want the nicer finish on the top, you can use your construction tape just to sort of go over it, in which case I would just cut a strip and just lap it right the way over. But I think what we'll do is I'm going to glue these down. Okay, so I'm just going to add a bit of glue. So I'm using book binding glue, which I find grabs everything really nicely, and just make sure that the level edge of where the top of your support frame is level with the top of your fixed side. So I'm just going to put two clips rather on there. There we go. All right, that lines in. Just making sure that magnet lines in with that. That sits okay on there. That's good. All right, so that's one side done, and then we're going to come around and do the other side. I'm just going to add a bit of glue to that. Now, once we've done this bit, we will then make a start on the side, on the lid rather, so that this is drying. Oh, look, all my magnets have stuck all my bulldog clips together. Right, okay, so we're just going to put that on. And again, I'm just looking at the gaps, just making sure that that's all sitting flush and flat. So that's 2. Let's take 2 more from there. And I'm just going to add a bit of glue. There we go. This side, this is side 3, so I just need to make sure that that comes up. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, like so. And then the 4th side, just going to add a bit of glue to that one, and then that is our base box done. So I'm just going to tuck that in. How's that sitting? Okay, 2 more, oops, magnets on there and that on there. So it's up to you. Maybe once that glue has fixed properly, you might want to just put a strip across. I think looking at my original one, I've left it without. But if you wanted it to have that nice sort of finish on that, you can do that. All right, but I didn't do that on mine, but that's up to you. All right, so we're just going to let that dry and set. I'm just going to push that to one side. So now we're going to come back and do our lid. So the lid is fairly straightforward. We've got the 4 sides and the top part. Okay, now because these are wider, I can't get away with doing that, so I'm going to have to do a corner at a time, and I'm going to need to leave a little bit of a gap like we did on the sides and on the support frame to allow it to sort of bend into its shape. So I'm just going to trim that off. So let's just trim, oops, come on. So when that comes down on the lid, then that will sit nice and flush on there. Okay, all right, so I've just allowed a little bit of a gap there, so I'm going to do the same all the way round. Let's do this side first. We'll do opposites, I think. There we go. I'm just lining this up. Okay. Oh, still got tape stuck on there. Okay, so that's that one. And then we're going to do the same on the other side, leaving just a gap. I suppose I'm leaving maybe about 1/8 of an inch gap. The gap obviously needs to be whatever the thickness of your construction board is, in order for it to bend round. 1, 2, 3, and then our last one. There we go. I'll just line that up and just sticking the tape on. Okay. Now, if you didn't have construction tape when it comes to putting this together, then I would suggest you get some black cardstock. I've got a scrap here, about 1.5 inches. Put a score line down the middle, and then you can attach it onto it like that, allowing it to bend as well. So if you don't have the construction tape. Okay, so we've got that side done. Okay, like so. All right, and then what I'm going to do is I'm now going to put tape on the other side just to secure it. There we go. Plus it also helps with the finish as well, that when you come to stick your papers on and everything, you're all good to go. 1, 2. There we go. Move that over. 2, 3. And then we're just going to do our last bit. Like so. Right. Okay. Right, so I've got to decide which way I'm folding these, which side looks better for my external. I think that looks better, so we'll keep it with the lid bit on the inside. Okay, now comes the slightly tricky bit. Is actually joining these corners together. It's a little bit fiddly, but we'll do the insides. Okay. Like so. Oh, actually, before we do that, we need to do our edges. Oh, goodness me, Deb. Right. Okay, edges. I'm just going to take a bit of tape. Right, I'll cut that. And I'm just going to have that going halfway, roughly halfway. And then I can fold that over. There we go. Like so. I'm just going to trim those down. Goodness me, nearly forgot that. Right, 1, 2, and then we're going to halfway. Like so. Fold that over. So that just finishes off those edges then. 1, 2, and then our last 2. There we go. Halfway. Put that in, fold that over. Like so. Just trim those down. And then our final side. Okay. It's a bit tricky to do this after you've stuck the corners together. So we'll do it now. There we go. All right. And we're going to come over and stick those down. Okay. I can probably trim those bits off, but we're going to do the corners. So now we've done that, we're going to fold these up and we're going to put our corners together. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a bit of tape going across, and then we're going to stick it and join it together. Now, the easiest way is probably to do half of it on the edge. I'm going to trim that down to meet that edge, like so. And then I'm going to fold that back and I'm going to bring that up, and then I'm going to let it attach to the other side, like so. There we go. All right. So that sort of fits in nicely. So this one we're going to put in, right, let's turn it this way now. Half on the inside. Let's just trim that. Be easier. Right, so half on there, half on that edge. Fold that back, like so. And then we're going to join that together. Now I can see already that that is slightly out, so let's just push that back a bit. That's it. Okay. All right, and that is that corner stuck in. So I'm just making sure that I'm having that the base of my, or the edge bit of my lid is lining up with the next piece. So right, I'm going to do another piece. So I'm just going to cut. So just going to add that halfway, fold that back on itself, bring that up, make sure that's in line with the other edge, like so. Okay, and then the final one, which is a little bit tricky because obviously we've already got one of the sides stuck, but I'm going to have to sort of fold it back on itself. So I've got the sticky bit in my hand. It's a little bit hard to show you. So basically I've got it folded like that, and I'm just going to stick one side down and there we are. Come on, that's it. And now I can stick that back in. Okay, Right, so that is our sides put on. Okay, don't worry too much about any wrinkles. You can just get your bone folder and go in and just sort of iron those out. And then the fun bit is that we're now going to wrap the whole thing round in black tape. So, and it's going to secure the corner. So I'm going to come in halfway. Actually, no, I think we'll do the corners because that tape isn't wide enough. I think we'll do the corners and then we'll wrap round. Right, okay. So just going to attach that. There we go. I was getting ahead of myself, everybody. Which is not unusual for me. My brain is working like, oh yes, you've got to do this, Deb, you've got to do this. Right, okay, and now oh goodness me, that tape's all stuck on itself. There we go. Right, and I'll just do this just to cover up those edges like so. 1, 2, and then we've got another 2 corners to go. Okay. All right. Now, obviously, this video is just about how to make this box. So if you pop over to Paul's video, that will show you how to make the boxes, because obviously this is just making the box to put the boxes in. You will need to make all your lovely boxes, all 24 of them. So you need to factor that in as well on your time scale. Just going to add that in. Okay. All right, now we've got that. Now we can, well, we could wrap that round there, but actually I think that's sturdy enough. So I'm going to leave that as is because this will get covered in patterned paper. Right, okay. Now we've got the lid done. Let's, you'll see on the instructions I've put some black card to cut out for the lid. So this is going to, the square bit here is the inside. Okay. So that is going to just glue in there, and then that will sort of cover up that. And then the 4 strips here for the sides will go in and decorate, well, just cover that gap on the inside. It's up to you. Now I've done it with black card, okay, like I did on my original. If you want to put patterned paper in there, just swap out that black card for patterned paper. Okay, so I will glue those in. All right. And then on the outside, I've given you the measurements for the patterned paper as well, and you can do that. But before you put the black card in, if you're going to put one of these drawer pulls on, okay, then you will need to attach that first, okay, and then put your black cardstock over the top, and you'll need to put your patterned paper on there as well. Okay, so I've not cut out my patterned paper yet, but basically you put I drew diagonal lines across the top, so I got my center point. Then I poked a hole in it with my pokey tool. Okay, and then I put my Christmas paper or my pattern paper on there, poked the hole through, then I put my drawer pull in there, folded that back, and then I added the black cardstock to it so that that sort of covers up that mechanism. So when you turn it over in here, you can't really sort of see that. That's all hidden. Okay, and that is how I did and finished off the lid. All right, So I'm going to put that all to one side for a minute. Now, in terms of our box, so let's just take off all these lovely clips now, because hopefully all that is dried. Okay. You will notice on the cutting instructions here, I've got black card. Now the sizes are slightly different, and that is because we have to take into account the support part of the box. Okay, so here are my black pieces here. Now I've got the base, so I can just drop that in, and I've got two of those. So I've got one for the inside of the box and one for the outside. But again, if you want to put patterned paper in, you can swap that out. Okay, and then these panels, okay, again, I've just done these all black, and that will just sit over. Okay, I'll just sort of sit over and glue down there, and then the smaller ones for the fixed sides will sit in. And if I just turn that to that one side, that will just glue in on that bit there, because it's got to take into account that support frame that's coming around. So that's why the fixed frame ones are slightly shorter than the side flaps. Now you might notice as well that when I tuck this in here, that unless I get that right up to that very edge of where that box is, where the support frame is, you can see the construction board. So what I did is I went round and I just put some more Sharpie pen on the inside. It's a little bit fiddly, but I just ran it along there. So if I didn't get that in just right, I could cover up any little mistakes on the so that the construction board doesn't show. Okay, and then the fourth one is, oh no, 1, 2, oh there it is. I knew I'd missed one somewhere. Oh, I come in that way, and I just did that so that when I stick those black bits in, that's not going to notice. Okay, so what I would do is, let's stick some of this stuff in. So I'm going to do all the fixed sides first. Okay, I've already pre-cut these. Okay, and I can just go in and stick that on. Now, I suppose you could stick these on before you put the box together, but it's fairly straightforward to do it this way as well. So that's that one. Okay, let's turn that round and do the others. Now, the same thing goes for the side flaps. If you're using the little drawer pulls, okay, you need to attach those with your paper, with your Christmas paper already cut to go on, just like we would do for the lid. Okay, just to attach those. I'll just go across like so. That's it, 1, 2, 3. And it's handy having coloured in that little bit of black there, that if I'm not quite straight with my card, you're not going to see that. Okay, and then the final bit here. Glue this on, tuck that in. Okay, that's gone in. While I've got the sides open, I'm going to put one of the bases in. So I'm going to put that in. in. Now I've got all the sides down, I can get to it easier, and I can just centre that now. Okay. All right. So that's all the outside or the inside done, apart from our bits that we're going to do here. Okay. So that's my base. I'm just going to stick the base one on. Just helps cover up. There we go. Just think it gives it a nice finish at the bottom. Just centre that in, like so. Let's make sure that's nice and square. Okay, right, and then we are all about the decorating of the box. So these are my internal side flaps. Okay, so they'll go in a minute. Now, when it comes to putting the lid on and working out where your drawer pulls go, okay, let's just move that to one side. So this one, as that likes to right, stay there, is that when I put the lid on, I wanted the lid to cover the drawer pulls. Okay, so it comes down and it just covers those drawer pulls. So from a distance, it looks like it's just a box. Okay, but then when you take the lid off, then you've got the little surprise of the drawer pulls to sort of come down. Okay, so what I did is that obviously I didn't want to come any further down. So these measurements on this side are 1 1/4 inch. So I think when I came down, I did that about half to 3/4 of an inch, just so that obviously when the drawer pull bit hangs down, you can't see it. Now, if you haven't got the drawer pulls, and you can get these from Amazon and what have you, you could just use a little bit of ribbon if you wanted. You know, you could have a tiny little bow or something there if you wanted to, or a little bit of baker's twine you could thread through and make yourself a little loop. Then that would work just as well. So I think what we need to do really is make a decision as to what papers I'm going to decorate the outside with, and then I can show you how to do one side, and then it's over to you for the decoration, and then I can show you what I did with the putting the little boxes in. Okay, so I've got lots of lovely papers here. I'm going through my stash. I quite like the stripy one. Now I used 2 different patterns on the going around on the outside, and then I used a different one but coordinating one for the top and the lid. Now I quite like the stripes on that. I quite like that for my lid. Okay, because I think that would look really, really nice. So I'm going to use that for the lid. Now I just need to see if I've got any more of this paper. See, that would be quite nice maybe to go around the outside, or I've got that one. Let's have a little play. So let's just have a rummage through. I have got some more of that one, so I can follow that one round. So that's good. And what I'm going to, there we are. So that's those 2 for 2 sides, and then I want something that's going to contrast with that. I've got the snow. We could go with squares just to make it a little bit different, or that's got too many words on it, so I could go with that one. Let's have a little look. I'm just looking at the colour palette, that even though this is all the same pack, some of the colour palette is slightly different to the rest of it. I think I'm going to go with those actually. It's a shame that I didn't have any more of this paper. Although looking at it, I might... See, I might get away with that. This is why we have a stash box. Just so I... Oh, we have. Brilliant. Okay, I'm going to go with that one then and not the squares. Okay. Right. Now we've sorted out what papers I'm going to use on the outside. You can do this one of two ways. You can cut... You can measure that, put that on and cut it down and then slice down the middle. Or like I've done on the patterned papers, I've told you the sizes. But I want to keep the continuity of the pattern paper going across. So when you look at it from the side, it will still sort of follow through. If you've got papers that have got... like a scene or something on it and you want that scene to follow through, then this is probably the best way of doing that. So let's just pop those on there. Now this paper needs to be let's have a little look, 5 3/4. So let me just cut that down to 5 3/4. Let's just tuck you over there for a minute. So the height, that is 5 3/4. So I'm cutting it all as one piece at the moment. Now I've got to make a decision which way am I doing. The stripes are going that way, so I need to cut it off that way. Double check. So let's just line that up. Okay, 5 3/4. Okay. So 5 3/4, so that will now sit like so. Now coming across, because I've got the bigger, the actual side flap, I'm going to cut that bit first, and the side flap is 2 3. Let's have a little look. 2 side flap. I've got 2 7/8. So I'm going to measure that 2 7/8. There we go. So I'm cutting that bit first, and then I can follow the pattern of the paper along like so. Okay, and then the next bit is where are we? 2 1/8. 2 1/8. So as you can see, I'm following the paper pattern along. Okay, so that will go like so. Now I always distress ink my papers, so I'm just going to go round and do this. I'm just using some black soot. This just helps cover up the white core of the paper. So it just helps it blend in a little bit more with the background of the box. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to do one complete side. Okay. And then it's over to you in terms of what you're going to do for that. Okay. And I would faux stitch around that. So let's just do that. I like doing the little bit of faux stitching because I think it just finishes the paper off. If you're not confident about doing it freehand, as I am, then by all means use a ruler. You don't have to do it. I just like that it gives it that little bit of detail. And sometimes I quite like the wonky lines. It shows that it's been handmade and everything. But yeah, so we'll just sort of go along. I'm only going to do this one piece because I'm only going to show you what I'm doing on the flap. And it's, trust me, it's easier to do it now before you stick it down than it is when it's on the box. Ask me how I know, because I've done that before. I got too carried away trying to stick the paper down because I wanted to get it finished and realised I hadn't faux stitched it. and then of course I needed to carry on. So there we go. All right, so that's that one. And then this one, as you can see, I'm putting it back in the order that the paper has come off, like so. And we're just going to come along. Obviously you can take your time doing yours, but I'll just get this all done. I'm going to come across, and one more side to go. And the pen I'm using is a Micron pen, and it's 0.05 is the size of the tip, or the nib that I'm using. I just find I find this particular size better, but there we go, everybody to their own. Okay, so I'm going to glue this bit down on there first. Like so. There we are. Just going to pop that on. And you can see the edge. Just line that up nice and straight on the edges. Okay. And then this one. So I'm going to stick this on, and then we're going to do the draw pull. Okay. And I can show you how I finished this off. Here we are. And obviously, because I've got the patterns going across, I need to make sure that I line these up as I stick them on the side panels. Make sure that those lines are coming across nice and straight. Let's just lift that up a little bit. Make sure that is nice and straight and that it's level top and the bottom. Okay. So now we've got those on. Here are my little, I'm going with silver ones on this one because I think these look really nice against the blue. Okay, and my box lid, when the box lid comes down on that like that, so I'm just going to tuck that in. I can see I need to come in a little bit on here. Right, okay, so we have 1 1/4. So 1 1/4. So this is about a measurement of our thing is 3 inches. So I'm coming down that green line there, which is handy. It gives me something to focus on. We've got 1 1/4 inches from where the lid is going to sit. Okay, so with my ring pull, just trying to work out if that's sitting on there. I think I need to go in about, where are we, 1/4. I would say about 1/2 inch. Okay, so 1/2 inch coming down from there. Now it's probably going to need to clear that magnet a little bit. So I'm just going to mark off inside where my center point is. So that is my half, okay, and I'm coming down, so that was 1 1/4. So I need to come pretty much up where that is. So actually I'm going to go, because where that magnet is, I'm at, yeah, 3/4 of an inch coming down. There we go. Just line that up, 3/4 of an inch coming across. That's in line with that. So that is where I'm going to make my hole. Okay, so 3/4 of an inch. Let's just see if that works, because if that's put on, that's in line with that. That is going to clear that, I think. Right, okay, so I'm going to come in. I'm just going to poke a hole through on that side. I can just see it coming through on this side. Just going to poke that through. Right, okay. So with these, you fold, if you get these, you have to fold these little tabs in. They're a bit like the old brass tacks. I'm just going to tuck that in like so. Let's just measure that. 1 1/4. That is just on the edge there. Right, okay, so now I've put that in, I can fold those back. Now that magnet is in the way a little bit, so I'm just going to snip off these ends. There we go. Okay, and just making sure my draw pull is level and straight before I push that down for good. Right, okay, and I'm just going to add a little bit of tape on that just to protect it from poking through any paper on the inside. So I'm just going to put a little bit of tape over that. Here we are. Okay, so I've come in at 1 1/2 and down by 3/4 of an inch for that ring pull, little draw pull. Okay, so that's sort of sitting nicely on there. So obviously you would do that the same on the other 4 sides. Now on this side, I'm going to now put my black bit of cardstock, which will cover all of those workings. There we go. Like so. And I'm going to pop that on there. I'll just hold that in situ. Might just have to mould it and stretch it a little bit around where that magnet is and the draw pull that's gone through. I can see I've got a little bit of a gap at the top there, so I'm just going to add a little bit more glue just to make sure that that seals nicely. There we go. Okay, I'll just hold that in situ. There we go. And that is our side done. Okay. Right, so now that the outside of the box is all decorated, okay, so I've done my top, I've lit my little ring pull on there, and as you can see, I've gone around and decorated all 4 sides. Okay, so I'm just going to take this off, and as you can see inside, I've started to attach the little boxes. Okay, so I just want to talk to you quickly about the little boxes. Now, you can go 1 or 2 ways with this. quick and easy speed, as it were, is to make the little boxes out of your patterned papers already. But just be conscious of the fact that depending on the thickness of your paper that you're using will determine the strength of what it will be like when it's in the box and when you're pulling it off your Velcro dot. Okay, now you could make one out of the black card stock and then redecorate that, but obviously that's going to take you longer, so up to you. Okay, I've gone just for this project, oops, there we go, I've gone just for this project to make them out of the patterned cardstock already. So once you've made your 24 boxes, okay, you then cut yourself out a 1-inch diameter circle, and I've put my advent numbers on, okay, as you can see. But again, depending on the look that you want, I wanted the black just so it picks up the black on the trim. Okay, it's up to you. You could put foil on there, you could do black numbers, you can do whatever you like, but at the end of the day I just wanted to show you what I've done. All right, now I have only taken this up to 24, but if you wanted to, you could put a 25th block parcel or something wrapped to sit in on the top if you really wanted. Okay, but the way that I designed it was just to take the 24 and count down to Christmas. So these are my lovely little boxes that I've already done. So I'm just going to show you how I attach these to the little flaps. So as you can see, these come down and then you've got the little Velcro bit underneath. They just sort of stick on top. Now what I will say is that when you come to put these on, please don't bring your boxes right up here, because you need to have enough clearance for those boxes to clear that bar as it goes across the top, and that's how I've designed it. Okay, so I'm just going to take this one down. So this is the last side that I need to do. Now I've mixed up all my papers, I've mixed up all my numbers, so it just makes it quite good fun for people to sort of try and find the advents. Or you can go numbers 1 to 6, you know, 7 to 12, etc. around each one if you just wanted to have one side open at a time. But the beauty of having the Velcro dots is that you can move them around if you want to anyway. So here are my 6 little boxes, and I'm just going to lightly place them on there. Now I'm on the side flap. Now I need to make sure that I am clearing, I've got enough gap coming down this side here so that when these folded up it will clear that. Okay, so they need to come in, so they're pretty much butted up against the back of each other. Okay, and we're just going to put those two on there like so. So now I've lined that up, I can just see, whoops, they're alive, these little things. I can just see now that when I lift that up that they're going to clear that, and so it gives me a bit of a guidance to that. Okay, and I'm now just going to take the first box. Oh, look, number 13. Unlucky for some. And I've got my Velcro dots. Now, I think these were 3/4 of an inch, these dots. It's just happened to have what I had. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to peel off. Let me get my, because these do get a bit sticky, my tweezers. And at the bottom here, I'm just going to centre this into the middle. There we go. And just push that down. I'm pushing it gently because I try not to ruin my boxes. Okay, I mean, once you've got some sweeties in that, then obviously that will firm up, but these are empty at the moment. Okay, and I'm now going to get my Velcro hook bit. So I put the soft bit on, I put the little fuzzy bit on the bottom so that when you pick it up it's nice and soft to touch anyway. And then I'm just going to put the Velcro hook bit on to the underneath, and just making sure I've got my box lined up. I'm now just going to tuck it in and drop it down into place like so. Okay, and that is now just sort of sitting there. It's catching a little bit. What I'll do is I'll go, when I've fixed all 6 down, I'll take them all off and just push them down so they're a lot firmer. Okay, well, that one likes to come down. There we go. All right, and now I'm going to come up one side Okay, so I'm just going to take that. Now, you don't have to do the Velcro dots. You could just fix these permanently on there if you want to. I just found that I just thought it'd be easier for people, especially children and that, to handle the little individual boxes. And of course, obviously, been quite, you know, what you don't want them to do is sort of try and take the boxes off and then end up ripping them if you've glued them down. So just, well, it's your choice as always. Just put my Velcro dot on there. These are really, really tacky. I'm just going to tuck that one in, and I'm just going to line it up at the front of the other page, the other box rather. There we go. And just stick that down on there like so. So that's 2 boxes, and now the 3rd box. And then once I've done one side, I'll just carry on and do the other side, and then you work your way around all 4 sides. So I'll just stick that. Look, told you they really do stick fast, these. Okay, and then we're just going to attach that on there like so. And I'm just going to, again, just drag that in and line that up. Okay, so I'm just going to tip that, and I know I've got plenty of clearance. I'll still have plenty of clearance on the other side, and I know that I've got more than enough space for that to clear the top. And then we just come around and do exactly the same on the other side, and then that is pretty much done then. Obviously you can add more decoration to the outside of your box if you want to put ribbon round. Like I said, you know, if you wanted to attach ribbon to come up and round and hold the whole thing together, you can do that. You could add little embellishments on here. I think it really depends on the paper range and that you're using. Right, so I'll just move these boxes out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. I'm just going to pop that down, line that in with that. So give that a nice little, now that that's fixed, you see, look, lovely clearance there. And yeah, so you can, you know, decorate as much as you like with the boxes. But I just thought, I had to use Paul's little boxes just to sort of do something a little bit different with them. And the pattern or the cutting instructions to make the box base and the links for Paul's boxes and all the resources and everything else that you're going to need is, I've written it all up. It's all on a nice PDF that you can download from our website, craftywafty.co.uk. And yeah, you can just pop along there, just put in downloads and you'll see it come up, and then you can use that. And what I have done is because this video is going to be on YouTube. Hang on, start that round the wrong way, Deb. I was getting too carried away there. There we go. I was thinking, why is that hooking and not sticky? I realised I've stuck it upside down. There we go. Right. Crisis averted. Okay. And yeah, so as I was saying, so you can download the cutting and scoring instructions and all the resources and everything else that you're going to need to make this little Advent Christmas prezzy type box. So there we go. All right, we'll just sit that on there, and they all just, as you can see, they tuck in nicely like that. And as I said, if you wanted, you could make a little one, a little extra one, a 25th one, and just have it tucked in there if you wanted. Okay, but there we go. So that's us all done. So thank you, Paul, for your inspiration of your little treat boxes. One Christmas prezzy Advent, all boxed up, and you can obviously use it year on, year out. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, pop over to craftywafty.co.uk to download your instructions, and we would very much love, Paul and I, for you to post on both our Facebook channels, Papercrafting with Paul and Craftywafty for us, your finished items when you've made them. We would love to see them. All right, so take care, have fun, and we'll see you soon. Bye.